Another vote not to vote on a proposed windmill ordinance today in Posey County. The Posey County Commission voted to send the ordinance back to the Area Plan Commission. Eyewitness News' Brandon Bartlett is here now with details on this. Brandon?
Well, Shelley, at issue with commissioners is that ordinance would regulate both wind farms and solar farms. Commissioners don't believe that the two should be grouped together and want them separated into two different ordinances. So back to the Area Plan Commission it goes. Eyewitness News was there as Posey County residents packed the commission chambers this morning as commissioners considered that ordinance. They heard from people on both sides of the project. Those against the project are mainly concerned with those large blades interfering with the National Weather Service radar in Owensville. One man at the meeting told us he's against the project. He's not against the project, rather, but against the ordinance and how it is written. He told us that he and several other Posey County residents have been talking to experts over the past year now about their experience with wind farms.
We've determined that there are significant risks to public safety in Posey County related to both weather radar interference with these exceptionally tall and close to the weather radar turbines, in addition to the blade throw from turbines with such large wingspans.
He says he would be for the project locating anywhere that would not interfere with the radar and anywhere that does not create a public safety issue. Council members in Mount Vernon voted against the ordinance. The Cynthiana Town Council voted to table it. Depending on the vote, it could be possible for each of those cities to have different regulations from the others. The Poseyville Town Council is the only elected body that voted to adopt the proposal.